everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Hats Off podcast by 17 Hats. I'm Amanda Ray, your host, and I am joined today by longtime 17 Hats user, longtime friend to 17 Hats, Mariette Martinez. She is a business and financial educator, an accountant as well. So she knows everything good about books and keeping your books and money, which is why I've invited her on today. Mariette, thank you so much for being here with us.
Absolutely. Yes. I know a lot about books and a lot about money. And thank you for having me here. As Amanda shared, a long time 17 Hats user, I think since inception.
Yeah, since the beginning. So 10 years now.
10 years since 2014. I met Donovan, met you,
Yeah.
and I just love 17 Hats. But this is about books and money, because I could talk 17 Hats all day long.
Yeah. I love that. I love that.
I'm excited to be here. You're right. This is something that even though it comes up a lot towards the beginning of the year, because people are thinking about bookkeeping and taxes and getting prepared, which, to be honest, I have to be really true and transparent on this whole session. This is not the right time to do your books and your taxes. We need to be doing this year round. But no shame if you're doing it now. But what we always, at least myself and many people that are aligned with my mission, is that we want to empower you year round. And so that way this isn't stressful and you're not fearful and you don't get the anxiety that many people get when they wait to the last minute.
So I love this, like coming out and hitting this topic hard right out of the gate, because we see this so much in 17 Hats, right? So inside of 17 Hats, you can connect your bank account for bookkeeping.
Yes.
That connection is actually through a universal, it's everybody, QuickBooks, us, like everybody uses it, third party person or third party company that connects then with your bank account. What is always so interesting to me is that those third party, that integrator, as I like to call them, likes to do updates. So you have to resync your bank account every once in a while, right?
Yeah.
And so we always get the people that's like, it was synced last year. Why is it not synced this year? Right? Because they only look at it once a year, which is the worst thing you can do because of things out of our control. 17 Hats out of your control. Like, we're dependent on the bank to send us the information and to sync. So I love that you're like, this isn't a one time a year thing.
No,
this is a multi time of year thing. But as she said, if you're on the, oh crap, I got to do this now because I haven't done it, let's get it done. And then let's start the correct cycle. So let's hop into that just a little bit. How often should people be doing their books?
Okay, so again, I'm going to be subjective. I am a 20 plus year accountant that transitioned into financial education. So I literally breathe and live this every day. Yep. I also am a daughter of an entrepreneur that had restaurants for 30 years. My mother had restaurants for 30 years. So for you to exist, for you to grow, for you to pay your employees, if you have a growing business, you need to be looking at your books honestly, if not every day, every week. Especially, let's say if you have payroll, you need to make sure you can make payroll. You can't make those decisions without looking at your books. So again, it's kind of, it depends on the scale of your business, but minimum, like with that example that you said that someone says that their bank connection didn't work because the last time they clicked on it was 6 months ago. No. Every single month, at the very minimum, you have it scheduled in your calendar. And I love that you talk a lot about calendar. Amanda, like that's your thing. I have it actually personally every Friday. I call it Friday Finances.
Oh, I love that.
Every Friday for 3 hours on my schedule, because I'm a mom of 3, a business owner, and all the things. I have a 3-hour scheduled appointment on Fridays called Friday Finances. And that's when I do my own finances, not other people's finances.
Not other people, your own.
My own. Yeah. And so weekly, I would say minimum for someone that really wants to build a sustainable, profitable business. Monthly, if you're just trying to like catch up and not have anxiety during tax season. But that would be minimum. Like I would say no less than that.
I love that. I mean, I highly recommend inside of 17 Hats, putting yourself as a client or a contact in 17 Hats and creating a project called bookkeeping or books or whatever you want to call it, finances, and then adding yourself a recurring to do the first Friday of every month, right?
Yeah.
look at your books, right? Know what
Yeah.
is in there, know how much money you're spending, because people overspend. That's the number one thing I hear people do, is that they've overspent. You go into Target and you're like, "Oh, I want more sticky notes. Oh, I want more highlighters." Like, we love colored pens. It's my
Oh,
issue
yeah, me
too,
too.
right? And so at the end of the year, we're like, "Wow, we spent a lot of money on Target buying
Yeah.
crap," and we don't realize it because it wasn't until the end of the year that we looked at it. So I
Yeah.
love that you have this standing every Friday.
Every Friday.
Every Friday you do it. And I love, I some of you might be going like, I might not need it every Friday. Even if you don't need it every Friday, maybe you're just getting started. Maybe you're not making a ton of money right now. Even if you don't need it every Friday, just to get in the habit and to have that space built in, right? To
Yes.
know that it is, you can have it, and to get in that routine, that's huge.
Yeah, and something I want to share about what you just said, because you said something so important about, where am I spending? And I spent too much. So when we
Yeah.
talk about finances, and I think this is really important to just bring up right here in the beginning, there are buckets of finance work that you do for your business. There's the
Yep.
budgeting for your business. There's the bookkeeping, which means now you've done budgeting and now you're starting to bring the money in and you're starting to pay the bills out, and now you're checking those transactions against your budget. That's a different form of checking your
Sure.
finances. Then there's the one that you started with in this conversation, is your bank feeds, like stuff coming in automatically and you just categorizing. So when I say finances every Friday, or let's say every other Friday, you're doing different pieces of the finances work that you need to do for your business.
Yeah.
And taxes is also a part of it, right?
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
connecting with your tax professional if you don't know how to file estimated taxes, figuring out what that looks like to calculate what you should be
Yeah.
saving every month. Then one of those Fridays, probably towards the end of a quarter, is calculate my estimated taxes because I got to go electronically pay it. So even though it's Friday finances, you're usually not doing the same thing. There are different pieces of your finance work. Exactly.
I
Yeah.
love that. That's
Yeah.
so important. There's so many, you're right. There's so many things that you need to do as a small business owner. So
Yeah.
I know that this topic of conversation overwhelms people,
Hmm.
right? It's scary for people. Talking money in general, whether it's making a sell or paying sales tax or whatever it is, budgeting, um, it's overwhelming for most, especially small business owners who are like, I'm not making a lot of money to begin with, or people that are, you know, I find people who are struggling financially, they really don't want to look at it because then that
Yes.
brings up realities as
Yeah.
well. And then some people just don't make the time for it. Like, then you have the opposite end that's like, nope, I'm good. I'm just not paying attention to it. Right.
Hmm.
I know I'm good. Right. So people will put it off for so many different reasons, usually emotional reasons or
Yes.
time. Um, so let's kind of demystify this a little bit. I know tax season is
Yes.
right around the corner, right?
Yes.
And a lot of that overwhelm is because they're using a vernacular that we don't necessarily use on our day-to-day basis. There's a lot of rules that are maybe gray in our head, like, can you expense lunches or can you
Hmm.
not? Mileage or not mileage? Can I expense my car? Can I not? And then a lot of people are actually doing this on their own. They're not hiring an
Yeah.
accountant to file their taxes for them. So let's just like take this time. I'd love to take this time to demystify this a bit. So
Yeah.
if you were talking to somebody who's nervous about going into this and are literally putting it off because they have knots in their stomach and they
Yes.
think it's going to take 5,000 hours to do, what's the process for them?
Oh, I love that. And by the way, there is a process. And
I love that.
and this is not intentional, but it is, because when I started teaching this to my business owners, as I served them for over 20 years as an accounting professional,
Sure.
I wanted to educate them first. So that way they knew what they were doing or what I was doing or what we both had the roles to complete this work. So I actually created a process for it. I call it tax ready books. And it's
Love it.
literally a workflow that I teach everywhere. It's on YouTube. Y'all can look it up. And essentially, this is what it is. It's really simple. So you already talked about it. It's like, we think about bookkeeping and finances. The first thing we think about is taxes. Actually, that's the last thing we need to think about, because if your
Hey,
books are not ready, you are not ready for taxes. So you're skipping a whole beat and you're getting anxiety and getting frustrated and having all these fears around taxes before you even have to get there. Because if you do the tax ready books workflow, the taxes is the easiest part.
Okay, so this speaks volumes to me because it's the same thing when I teach workflow. I'm like, if you don't have your templates done, you're not ready for workflow. Like, don't even go there. Get your templates done first. So this is speaking to me at a different level. Okay, so this makes sense.
Okay, good. So, and you're, and I try not to be so harsh with people, but, so I can't hold it back. But
No,
sometimes
you're
I'll tell
fine.
them, you're not ready to talk taxes if we haven't talked books yet.
Yep,
And so that's why I say we got to get your books ready for taxes. And that's where tax ready books came from. So the
amazing.
concept is this: we need to figure out how to get your books done. And there's a process for that, of course, the system to get your books done, right? And I'm going to keep it super simple. So the systems to get your books done is you got to compile all the documentation, everything that
Mhm.
came in and out. So fundamentals of money in and money out. Okay.
So
You
that's
have to organize.
expenses and income.
Yeah. Income first. I like to start with income first because everybody likes to talk about money.
Makes you happy.
It makes you
Yeah,
happy. So let's brighten up their day. Let's have them feel excited. I don't care if it was $100 or $100,000. Something
yeah,
probably came in last year. So let's start with that.
sure.
And then
Perfect.
after we do that, that's money in, then we move into money out because that's another thing with business owners. They want to go straight to expenses. But I'm like, let's talk about the money that came in first, right? And
Yeah.
let me explain that to you. Was it deposits from a customer? Was it you putting in your own money into the business? There's different things that came into the
Yeah,
business. We call that all money in, but they're different types of transactions. So
sure.
that's the first thing they need to learn. They need to understand money came in and they're called different things. They're categorized differently.
Nice.
Then we move into expenses. We don't go to expenses first. We go there second
Second.
because now they understand, oh, okay. So with that money came in, I paid things out. Exactly. Like you
Yes.
couldn't have paid things if you didn't have
Right.
money in, right? Right? So then that's the second part of the workflow is we dealt with the money in first, then we deal with the money out next, which also again, they're not always expenses. It could have been you paying
True.
yourself. It could have been you paying out a loan. That's not
Mhm.
necessarily an expense. So I have to explain the concept of money in and money out. Once
Yeah.
they understand that, this is the best part because then they're like, Mariette, okay, you're right. All that happened. What did I do with it? And I'm like, it's okay. Let's relax. There has to be living somewhere. It's either in your
Yeah.
bank account or you have receipts. So now the light bulb turns on because they realize you're right. These transactions happened, but what did I do? Like, it's like they finally are accountable to the fact that this happened and they may not have been tracking it. They may
Yep.
not have been documenting it. They may not have been filing it away. So the
Yeah.
next step now is please don't worry, but let's get organized. We need to get
I
organized.
love how you're
Yeah.
like, please don't worry.
Yes. Please don't worry.
Right?
Yes. We
Because
have to
at
say
that
that.
point, you start to see it all, and then you're like, "Oh, crud,"
Yes.
you
Or other
know?
words, but yeah.
Yeah, 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 and you're going, "Oh, this is a lot," and worry
Yes.
does set in, and so you kinda have
Yes.
to, as my mother would say, pull your big girl pants on and take a
Yes.
breath and charge away and do what you need to do.
Yes, yes. And we're doing that the whole time. So just imagine I've done this, and I was just talking to you about this, Amanda. I've done this one-on-one. I've done this in workshops. I've done this
Sure.
live. And I do have to take a break and say, because I could see their faces. I can literally see them like, oh no,
Yeah.
And that's why I'm like, take a break. It's okay. Like, I'm
Step
going to
away.
explain to you what to do next. Like, because they're already worrying.
Yeah.
And so then I talked to them about how we can scan all their documents. We could put it in a file storage like,
Sure.
Drive or Dropbox, everything. And then they start getting that. I give that usually their homework. That's the next workflow. Get electronically organized, create a file
Yeah.
hierarchy, get organized.
Yep.
That's their homework now, right? So now we're almost at the last step. By the way, do you remember what I said? We never talked taxes yet. Like,
No, you
no
haven't.
taxes. Can't talk about taxes.
Mhm.
And now that they understand the fundamentals of business, money in and money out, which is basically financial literacy,
Yeah.
now they understand the importance of getting organized. Now we talk about taxes. Now I
Amazing.
explain to them about how some of those expenses may be tax deductible. And that's when we start talking taxes. But that's why the workflow is so important, because so many business owners want to start with taxes. You cannot start with taxes. Mm-mm.
Yeah, you have to go in the right order, or it
Mm-hmm.
just becomes more and more frustrating and more
Yeah.
confusing. So I love that. So income first, which if you're using 17 hats, that's pretty easy for your client invoices, right? So you said that there's different types of income. Can you dive into those?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what I do is I don't call it income, I call it money in.
Money in. That's right.
That's how the best way business owners
Right.
understand that, because there's different transactions that come into your business, which obviously they're cash transactions. But as soon as they come in, you need to know what it is. And so
Yeah.
most people, and I know this because after serving business owners for
Yeah.
2 decades, they're like, I already know, Mariette. All the money came in was customer payments. I'm like, all of it?
Mm,
Are you sure? And then I go and I look at a $20,000 deposit and I'm like, well, then you had an awesome May because
yeah.
you have a 20. And they're like, oh, that was a loan. And I said, well, then that's not income.
It's not income.
That's not income. And so that's why I call it money in, not income. I call it money in. Yeah.
That makes sense. And so transaction categories, because we have transaction categories inside of 17 hats.
Yes.
I love them. I think they're probably one of the most underused features that we have. Can you define a transaction category for everybody
Yeah.
listening?
Yeah, well, I hopefully after today's session, it won't be underused anymore, because this
Yeah,
is the exact reason. So, based on how a transaction came in, and again, the transaction is almost always money, right? Because we're not going to
sure.
talk about other transactions, but there are paperless transactions.
Sure.
But that's on the tax side. So, when the transaction comes in, we need to categorize that. Again, it
Yeah.
goes back to the literacy of understanding that there's money in and there's money out.
Yeah.
And so, as you just mentioned, Amanda, that they can say what it is, they could literally categorize
Yeah.
that transaction, which will do the work we just talked about.
Yeah.
It literally will solve what we just shared.
Which I love. Yeah, transaction categories, I feel like it's almost like putting library books up on a shelf, right? These go
Mhm.
to fiction, these go to nonfiction, these are biographies, these are,
Like
food,
buckets,
whatever it is.
little
Yeah,
buckets.
it's your buckets,
Hmm.
right? And so to be able to categorize your money in as like client income versus a loan or a
Hmm.
personal loan that you put in yourself,
Exactly.
that's so important to have those different buckets of income. I like to even break it down even further on our income categories and do them by revenue stream, so I can
Hmm.
see which revenue stream comes in as well. I'm really OCD about that stuff. Okay, so that's income.
Yes.
Expenses,
Yes.
right? You can do expense categories as well. Is there any
Same thing.
recommendation for expense categories?
Yeah, well, okay, so I'll give two. So,
Okay,
because depending on, and I don't want to go too deep in this one because we can
sure.
go really deep, but basically based on your structure, your entity structure, and we're going to just assume sole proprietorship because I
Yep.
know we work with a lot of solopreneurs.
Yeah.
So, there's two strategies that I've taken with my solopreneur community, which has been my community for over, 2 decades.
Yeah.
So some of my community members, or my business owners that I serve, want to keep things so simple because
Sure.
they want to take ownership of this. Like, they finally get excited and they're like, okay, Mariette, I want to do it. you know? So I
I
said,
love it.
okay. So here's what I asked them to do. And I literally do this with them on a Zoom call, or before in person, I would do it like at a workshop, and I'd pull up the 1040 and I'd pull up the Schedule C, the form Schedule C, the sole proprietorship return. And I'd pull up that form and I'd have them look at the expenses area. There's an actual expenses category on the Schedule C
Yeah.
with all the line items. And I tell them, since at the end of the year, our goal is to be able to seamlessly and without any pain, remember, no pain here, we're going to file a Schedule C because you need to, because you're a sole
Yeah.
proprietorship. You can create your expense categories and align them with the Schedule C
Oh,
categories.
I love that. I've never
Yeah.
thought about that before.
Yeah, yeah, super simple, super simple. And that makes sense to them. And this is the best part, Amanda. It empowered them to now look at their tax return, because many business owners have never looked at their tax return before.
It's amazing how many people don't.
Yes. So that's one way. Okay.
Okay.
The other way is I have my sole proprietors and other business entity types that definitely want to be more structured. They want to go deep in the
Sure.
weeds on their expenses. So then we have to definitely go and define their categories more because they want to do like analytics on their
Yeah.
expense areas. So I
Sure.
have to go a little bit more in the weeds with them. Yeah.
Well, I love the first example that you said of just matching it to what you're going to need to
Yeah.
apply anyways. That's a
Yes.
that's a great way of doing this.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. Okay. So money in, money
Money
out.
in, money, and let's wait 1 second with money out because this is really important before
Okay.
we move on. Because of the fact that most business owners, and again, I completely understand, just like they associate income with money in, they associate expenses with money out.
No.
And so we have to understand there's different types of money out transactions, going back to transaction categories. I'm just going to give two because, again, we
Okay.
can go really deep in this. One of the ones that people have to identify right away is that if they're a sole proprietorship, I'll just use that example, and they pay themselves, that's not an expense. That is not an expense. It's a withdrawal of their owner's equity, of their
Yep.
profit. It's not even on the profit and loss, it's actually on the balance sheet. So when they call it payroll expense or owner
Owner's
expense, I'm
draw.
like, no, 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 no. It's not that. It's an owner's draw, and it's
Yeah.
not even on your profit and loss statement. And we have to have them understand that.
I think that's I mean, going back to the days when I was in photography, I think my accountant always put it as an owner's draw.
Yes,
So that would make sense. It is not an expense.
not an expense and not on your profit and loss. And the thing is, and this hurts my heart, and I'm going to say it, I've seen so many put it on their P&L, and then they
Yeah.
actually calculate their estimated taxes looking like they have less profit because you calculate your taxes off your profit and loss. And I'm like, no, it's not an
No.
expense. It's in the whole different place, a different report. So we have to cover that right away, that owner's draw, which is paying yourself as an owner, as a sole proprietorship owner,
Yep.
is not an expense. It goes on to a completely different financial statement called a balance sheet.
Amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a really good tip. Really good thing to remember.
Yes.
All right. So money in, money out.
Money in, money out. Yes.
We've organized.
Yes. That's the harder part, by the way. Let's be honest. Like I have to be honest with the workflow. This one's a hard one.
Yep.
Because it's a mindset shift to want to scan your documents, to want to get organized, to want to
Yeah.
use, let's say, a file electronic system like a Drive or a Dropbox or a OneDrive. Like that's literally a shift in your business. As you know, it's a new system that you're adopting. So that one's a little harder.
Do you recommend that they scan other than keeping paper receipts of everything, or are you like, I
Everything.
don't care what, choose one and stick with it?
I give away 2 scanners. Like I literally give them away as
Wow.
a prize. Yeah, it's like the best thing ever. It's like, yeah, you're gonna get a Fujitsu scanner. That's how much I believe in scanning.
Wow. Yeah, we actually added. It was a few years ago. I remember when we added it, where you could add a photo to the expense of like a receipt and whatnot. Um, but that makes sense of like just putting them onto a drive, so
Right
everything is
away.
scanned and everything. So just getting in the habit of taking the receipt, putting that in a folder, and then at the end of the month or the beginning of the next month, scanning it and getting it into an online
Well,
system.
even better than that, Amanda, because you and I both have young kids going on
Yeah,
teenagers. And I encourage my community members to have the scanner on their desk or somewhere that the family can connect to and easily sit in
sure.
front of. Have those receipts. Teach your kids how to scan because they know how to do
I know how to
everything.
do it.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Teach them how to scan. It automatically goes into your OneDrive, your Google Drive, into your folder called, 2024 accounting documents. Done.
What
And pay
scanner do
them
you
for it
use?
if you'd like to.
Yeah, what scanner do you use?
I use the Fujitsu scanner. I can give you the exact model, but it's the Scan Snap. I believe that's what it's called, the Scan Snap.
Nice. And
Yeah.
so it will automatically go into like whatever.
It automatically goes into it's
Nice.
assigned to you can do anything, OneDrive, Google Drive, Dropbox, Box, all of that. It's automatic. Like you literally just sit your kid down, teach them how to stick the thing in the machine, and it's done. That's
I
it.
love that because it's also teaching them, right? I'm a big believer that our goal
Yes.
as parents is to teach our kids, right? We can't rely on the school system to teach our kids. I'm not saying system doesn't teach. They 100% teach our kids, but we can teach them a whole different set of things at home.
Life skills.
Um, Life skills, so
Yeah.
important, probably more important than what they're learning in school. Yeah. So that's such a great life skill for them to learn.
Well, I'm going to tell you something, Amanda. Like, as a business owner, and I know you can agree, okay? I just know it. We get overwhelmed. We have a lot going
Yes.
on. And so when I start feeling the pressure, the anxiety,
Yeah.
I start thinking, what can I hand over? I'm a big
Sure.
believer in delegation.
Yeah.
So
Who
that's
can
something
do
you can
what?
hand over,
Yeah.
right?
I love that because you're right. I think small business owners in general, we are so used to putting everything on our shoulders.
Yes.
And somebody needs you to do, and I'm the worst. Somebody needs you to do it's like I'll do it, even if I have to stay up till like midnight or 1 o'clock, right? And sometimes we are really bad about delegating, right?
Yes.
Really bad. Even though people are like, "How can I help you?" You're like, "I'm good."
Yeah.
Um,
But I'm not
so,
really good.
but not really good. But doing this to where you're getting your family involved and where you're not
Yeah.
having to go outside of your comfort zone is a nice first step of helping
Yeah.
yourself learn how to delegate because I do think delegation is a learned skill.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. And like I just had to be honest, I had my daughter. She's been helping me since she was 11. So since I come from a restaurant
Yeah.
business, my parents had us join really early. Like if we
Yeah.
could clean toilets, we were
We're
working.
doing it.
Basically. We were doing it. So I have my kids join early. So she actually started in a different area. She loves art. She's an artist. She
Yeah.
draws. She
Amazing.
started doing like graphic design. And so I had her start there. And I had my son, who's 2 years younger than her, start with the documents. And he's like, why do I do the boring why
I
do
love
I do
that.
that? I want to do the fun stuff. So I actually started having him help me on the YouTube side because I have a channel. And he's like, I said, okay,
Yeah.
let's do that. So you can find creative ways, like you said, to give them things to do. And those are life skills. Those are things they're going to use for sure.
Well, and
Yeah.
then they feel connected with the business too. Right,
Yes.
that's another thing. It's because our business sometimes is so much our lives.
Yes.
It's another way to connect with your children, which
Yeah.
is so great. Anyways, going back to
Oh, yes.
accounting there.
Yeah.
No, so okay, money in, money out. Then we organize.
Then we organize. We talked a lot about
Okay.
that right now.
Talked a
Yeah.
lot about that. Is it important to have a receipt for every expense?
Yeah, there is. Okay, so if you look at the tax law, and I get a lot of people say, but what about the $75? Less than $75, you don't need a receipt. Okay, I get that, right? But how easy is it? We just mentioned it. Snap it with your phone. Your phone automatically connects to your drive, it sticks to a folder, you're done.
Yeah,
So I don't worry about the $75 rule. I just do it.
just do it.
N I just do it, and not only that, I learned this so many years ago when my clients would bring me their in literally shoebox of receipts because that's a real thing,
Yes,
okay?
yep.
It's a real thing. Then it
Real
ended up
thing.
becoming big manila folders of receipts, and that's when I was like, "Oh,
Yes.
Lord," right? But their receipts would be gone. You couldn't read them anymore. Have you ever had that experience? Erasing, it's like erasing ink.
Yeah,
And that's when I said, "No more."
we're
I'm
done.
like, "You need to scan it because a year from now, I don't know if I'm gonna" look at me, I'm wearing glasses. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to read your
Yeah.
receipt.
You can tell every, plumber or handyman because their dashboard is covered with receipts,
Yes,
right? That
yes.
you're right, they're not gonna be able to read in a year because the
Mm-mm.
sun has totally bleached the ink.
And they miss out. That's my heart goes out when, of course, I still do my best. I get their bank
Sure.
statements. I have them highlight. I'm a highlighter like you with
Yeah.
different colors. I'm like, highlight this color, this type of expense, and then the other color,
Yeah.
highlight the other one. So I still make them do the work,
Sure.
but I feel a little bit like uneasy because they don't have the receipts. And so that is a jeopardy. Now they're not audit proof. The
Yeah.
idea of having receipts is to be audit proof. That's what it means. When someone
Yep.
says I'm audit proof, it means they've done the bookkeeping and they've saved what's called source documents. And the source documents
Mhm.
is the proof of the purchase. And that's
Absolutely.
how you become audit proof.
The whole idea of auditing, if you think like, "I'm not gonna get audited," it's not gonna happen. I have so many friends who have gotten audited.
Yes, me too.
And even on there was a I don't know, I don't even know if this was just rumor or truth, but different states that were kind of hurting for money. They were going back and saying,
Mm.
wait, you actually owe sales tax. You have this social media account, and this social media account shows that you're a business, but you are not registered as a business. So you
Oh,
now
yes.
owe, X number of years of sales tax, which
Yes.
is scary.
Yeah. Maybe that's what we need to talk about too. Is there's different kinds of taxes, and that's
Yeah.
an area that that business owners get a little bit well, it is confusing. So let's
Sure.
see if we can break that down just a bit.
Okay.
Just because you brought up sales taxes. So we've reached the point that we can talk taxes. Okay, so
All
that's
right,
the
let's
good
do
thing.
it.
We've reached that point. Trust me, when I get to this point with a business owner, I am celebrating because I'm
Yeah,
like, okay, now we can have a good, educated conversation around taxes. So the first thing that we talk about actually is their layout of their business because they have different tax obligations.
sure.
Okay. And so the one that we all know about, everybody knows about is income taxes. Okay.
Yeah.
We owe income taxes on
Yeah.
our income. If you have a business, you owe taxes on that income. Okay. So that's the first one. If you are a sole proprietorship, so let's just stick with that example, you
Okay.
owe another tax that's called self employment tax because you are your own employer. Nobody pays you. You don't work at a W 2 job, right? Or maybe you do and you have a side hustle as well. So you owe something called self employment tax. That's a different tax. It's
Different
different
tax.
from your federal and state income tax. It's different. So now we're in tax number two.
Okay.
Now, if you sell a product or a service where you've been collecting sales taxes, that's a different tax. That's the one you just mentioned right now.
Yep.
That's a whole different tax, a
Different
different
tax.
tax department that you're having to collect and then pay those taxes.
Yeah.
And if you decide to start growing your business and you hire employees, not contractors, not bring in contractors, you hire
Very
employees and
employees.
you have payroll, now you have payroll taxes, completely different tax submitted to a completely different tax organization. So again, like we're not going to go in the weeds in each one, but
Each
what I
one.
want you to understand is that when people say, "Oh yeah, taxes," no, it's not just "Oh yeah, taxes." It's like what
Which
taxes
one?
are we talking about based on your situation? And that's why it's so important to not listen to your friend or your peer, or this other business owner, if they're not a tax professional, because they may not have the same situation that you do, right? So that's really important to understand.
Yeah, I think that's so important because I think as solopreneurs and as small business owners, we get a lot of unsolicited advice from
Yeah.
everybody, right? Which is one of the reasons why I wanted to start the podcast, why I wanted to start our marketplace as well,
Yes.
was so that people can get information from trusted sources.
Yes.
Because sometimes we don't know who to turn to for some of these really important conversations. And you're right. People don't know your situation. They don't know exactly how your business is created, your business structure, from states to counties to all of
Mhm.
that, especially with sales
Yeah.
tax. So, yeah, coming in and finding the right person to help you and to guide you is important as well. Let's
Yeah.
let's
And
talk about that a little bit. Like, if somebody's looking at hiring a bookkeeper or hiring an accountant, um, first off, let's dive into this. What's the difference between a bookkeeper and an accountant?
I had a feeling you were going there. And so, yeah, I love that question. And I don't want to miss the point I was going to mention. I just want to be great.
Sure.
Thank you for your podcast because this is no, this is a really good example of you going out of your way to find people to share the right information. Cause that is like step number one. Like if you don't know where to go or what to do, follow a podcast like this because Amanda, you're going out of your way to find people that you believe obviously are qualified to speak on a topic.
Yes.
So that's
Trusted.
already a head start for your members like to be
Yes.
here. So I just
Thank
want to
you.
mention that. Like that's
Thank you.
huge.
Thank you.
So okay, so yeah, bookkeeper versus accountant. This is such a common question. I go on my YouTube channel. I've answered this so many times and in so many different ways, but let me answer it specifically for your community. So, a bookkeeper is someone that literally keeps your books. That's where the name came from. Okay. It's actually a newer
Makes sense.
title. Yeah. It's a newer title in our accounting industry because before everyone would just use the title accountant. And I'm
Mhm.
going to share with you in a moment why you can't do that. Okay. But a bookkeeper is someone that keeps your books. They're usually the ones that are very intimately connected with your books. And in today's world, they're also usually very technology advanced. So they're very tech forward. They
True.
know
Yeah.
softwares, they know process and workflows, they know how apps connect. So you were giving the example how 17 Hats may connect with another app like QBO. They
Yep.
understand all those integrations. So bookkeepers have a lot of knowledge. So that's the great thing about the bookkeeping
They're the
community
ones
now.
that like reconcile your books.
Yes, exactly. They're in your books. They're trying to keep them ready year round in real time. They may be giving you some advice, but they're also staying in their lane because they may not be professional accountants.
Yep.
Okay. And that's the next one. A professional accountant is someone that went to school for accounting. Okay. They have financial literacy, business literacy. They usually have an accounting degree, as I do. They may have gone out and gotten additional accreditation or title. Maybe they're a CPA, a certified public accountant. Maybe they're an enrolled agent, which means they're licensed by the U.S. Treasury Department. That's what I am. Maybe something else. They also have to have continued education, and they're basically learning every day. They live and breathe accounting.
Because
Okay.
you have to
So,
stay. I love that. Like, I'm assuming, are there certifications you have to continue to keep up with to make sure that you know the latest and the greatest, where bookkeepers
of
do not
course.
have that?
They choose to not have it if they don't choose to move on to the next journey. So
Got it.
some bookkeepers choose to join this accounting journey where they go and they become a professional accountant and they basically move on to that next step on their journey, or they stay as a bookkeeping professional. So just for the business owner's
Yeah.
knowledge, you need to ask your professional, what is your background?
I
Right?
love
Like,
that.
what
Yeah.
do you know? Like, don't feel embarrassed about that. What do you know?
Yeah.
Because here's the biggest misconception I'm going to tell you right now. The biggest misconception is that the bookkeeper and the accountant and even the tax professional, they all know the same things and do the same things. Absolutely not.
No.
They do not. So we
Amazing.
need to straight out and ask them, what is your role? What do you know? What is your background?
Yeah.
And it's a simple conversation. We just had it right now. You just ask them,
Sure.
let me know what your background is. But for a business owner, I'll just end with this.
Yeah.
Sometimes that conversation is like, well, I don't want three people. I just want one person, right,
Yeah.
Mariette? You just told me I need a bookkeeper, an accountant, and a tax professional. You may, depending on the scale of your business,
Business.
but usually at the very beginning, you just need that bookkeeper. You
Yeah.
just need that bookkeeper to keep you on track, to maybe even teach you the softwares and, like you said, the
Yeah.
reconciliation, those basic accounting tasks. And then you need a tax professional,
Yep.
usually, to do your taxes or at least inform you of tax planning and tax strategies. You may even be able to do your own taxes
Sure.
as long as you're qualified to do your own taxes. Yeah.
That's amazing. So bookkeeper at least, right? And we know
Yeah.
a lot of people try to do their own books, which is why they get in trouble because
Yeah.
they only try to do them, starting March 1st,
Yes.
right? So a bookkeeper to keep your books nice, clean, and up to date, right?
Yes.
That's the biggest thing is making sure that they stay up to date. And then your tax professional to file your taxes for you.
Yeah, and and this is the other misconception is that you only talk to your tax professional once a year.
Oh,
Absolutely not.
no. Yeah.
No, you need to be doing tax planning, which is usually done toward July or August of the year to see where you're at and if there's new strategies you can take. Your tax professional could usually advise you on maybe if you want to change to a different business entity structure from like sole proprietorship to S corporation. And your tax professional should be working alongside your bookkeeper because maybe there's strategies that they can let your bookkeeper know about ahead of time. So that way you're doing those strategies throughout the year. So they should be connecting with each other, the bookkeeper, the tax professional, and the business owner.
I love this. This is so much information. I feel like we could go on forever. We are past our 30-minute mark,
Yes.
but I want to see, is there anything, I mean, gosh, I feel like we need to have a part 2 to this. Is there anything that, gearing up for this season that you
Now,
want to
tax season
just
specifically,
tax
or
tax season
yeah,
specifically, like,
okay.
we'll have to have you back on again to kind of dive into some of this other stuff, but is there anything gearing up to this season specifically that people should just know or note or just be aware of?
Yeah. I'm just going to mention a few things. So we are in, I'm trying to think where we are. So February, March 2024. So
Yeah,
early in the year, right? And as Amanda mentioned, like wherever you're at with your books, you have plenty of time still to do your books, right? Depending on your entity type, if you're a sole proprietorship, you probably
yeah,
don't have to file till April. Okay. Or if you're a different entity type, like a partnership, you may also have till April or May, and then you can extend your returns. So
sure.
the first thing is like, don't worry about being too late. So many people start stressing out about like, oh my gosh, it's too late. How can I do last
Because
year?
you can get an extension, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's okay to get an extension, right? Like, it's okay. Because some people are like, I can't, I have to get it done. But you're right. You can get an extension and we're all going to live and we're all going to be okay.
Yes. And let me tell you something about the extension, because that's something I was going to mention right now. So, okay, so you have time to do your books, and you could actually even watch this replay and like listen to
Yeah.
all the updates and do the workflow we mentioned, right? And so that's number one. Number two is, if you are feeling like, okay, I had my business in 2023, I'll use that example. So I have to do all of 2023, but now it's March of 2024 and I have to do 2024. Here's my biggest advice: 1 year at a time. Okay. Like,
Love
take a
that.
breather, 1 year at a time. 2024 is not going anywhere.
No.
And when you recreate 2023's books, you're going to learn so much about what you need
That's
to
right.
do that 2024 is going to be a breeze. You're like, oh, like it's a breeze to do my book. So
Yeah.
1 year at a time. And if you don't know anything about recreating books, as Amanda already shared, connect with a bookkeeper. They can help you with that, with recreating your books for a year, getting you up to date to this month or last month. And then start building all those good habits. Don't worry about what your habits were before today.
Correct.
Literally, don't worry about what you did yesterday and prior. Start those good habits as of today.
I love that. And when you start talking about habits, which is like another whole nother podcast,
Yes.
but you're going to fall off the train every once in a while,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're going to have best of attentions. And then, so if you're like, I'm going to do my finance Fridays, you might do it great 1 month and then not the next month and not
Oh,
the
yeah.
next month and come back. And that's okay, right? It is just putting one foot forward at a time, right?
Yes.
That is really what business is one foot forward at a time. Trying to, run the marathon before we can walk a mile isn't going to happen. So I think that specific example or specific, can't even think of what it's called, but taking the first step.
Yes.
Gosh, it's so important with books, right? And
Yeah.
you're going to have, as long as you're in business, you're going to have to do them. So
Yeah.
you might as well start putting, one step in front of each other to master this part of being a business owner, right? It's just part of it.
And it's a good part of
It's a
it.
good part of
By
it.
the way, it's a good part. I mean, my
Yeah.
business is revolved around mastering your book. So it's a good part of it. I want you to
Yeah.
get excited about it. But again, as Amanda mentioned, it's the habits and the one foot in front of the other. That's all it is.
I love that.
Yeah.
Mariette, where can people find you? Where can they learn more about what you do? You serve so many. You are so gracious with your knowledge and expertise. Where can they go to find you?
Yeah, the easiest way, just go to masteryourbooks.com. That's my website. That's where all of my free resources and my learning resources are. And yeah, and hanging out with cool people like this. So come back to this
Aha.
podcast and rewatch this and we'll hang
Yeah.
out again.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being on with me. I so appreciate it. You spilled so much knowledge. And for everybody who's listening, take it in. People only retain 20% of what's heard. So that means, you got to watch this a few times to take it all in. So much information was given, and go check out Mariette's site if you're wanting to learn more about your books. Gosh, it's just something we have to do. And I love how she said you got to get excited about it, because I think that's the first thing, is that we have to change our perception
Yes.
of doing our books to, oh, this dreadful thing that we don't want to do, to, hey, this is awesome. I get to see how much money I've made and we're going to kill it. So change the perception first. Go check out her information. We appreciate all of you hanging out with us again for this podcast, and I'll see you all next week. Thanks, Mariette, so much.